Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. We now are going to be joined at 9:33 a.m. by Haun Tebale Nodoba. He is the Secretary for Publicity and Information at AZAPO. Now, they are saying, that is AZAPO, of course, that the 365 days of continued incarceration of Zandile Christmas Mafe, and I wonder how many of us remember who he is, or have we forgotten who this man is? Okay, it's going to come out in the course of the conversation. So AZAPO is really raising the red flag, and they are saying that Zandile Christmas Mafe and the call for a proper criminal investigation of the cause of the fire at the Parliament buildings for the possible sabotage of the country. This happened obviously about a year ago. I think it is a year ago. So we do have Haun Tebale online from AZAPO to weigh in on this matter. Very good morning to you. Welcome to the program. And I think I would be correct in having asked the question, how many South Africans actually remember the name and remember who this person is?
Good morning, Julie, and the listeners and viewers of Salam Media. Let us say a prosperous new year
Thank
for
you.
all
And
of us. We
thank
hope
you.
for the
Thank you
best.
indeed.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, as AZAPO, Julie, we should say that we are thankful for Salam Media to be giving us this opportunity for us to remind the nation that if you are on the margins of society, you are a black person, you are poor, through what we call systemic exclusion that is anchored on racism and exclusion of those who are on the margins, the poor people. People like Mr. Zandile Christmas Mafe would actually pale into insignificance. They would not be remembered, they would not be known. AZAPO, through the campaign hashtag Hands Off Mafia, is specifically meant to do that, to be able to remind the nation, to be able to remind all social justice loving people in this country that whenever any person faces a trial, they should be afforded what we call a fair trial, like any other citizen in this country, as per this constitution, even though we might not agree with it, but as per the constitution, they've got specific rights. Now, we have seen Mr. Mafe. He was arrested on the 2nd of January 2022. The 2nd of January 2023, it was almost 365 days in prison. Mr. Mafe, unlike other people in this country who are white, who are racist, but also some of them who are black and who are corrupt and they are politicians, they are walking the streets, even though there is damning evidence that indeed they did perpetrate the alleged crimes. The state, up until so far, Julie, and the listeners and viewers of Salam Media, have not proven anything beyond any reasonable doubt. So therefore, as AZAPO, we don't understand why Mr. Mafe is still incarcerated. Let him be given the benefit of the doubt. Let Mr. Mafe be given bail so that he's then able to go on through the trial. AZAPO is not saying Mr. Mafe should not stand trial, but AZAPO is saying, can Mr. Mafe be accorded the same treatment that all citizens of this country are receiving? Let us not have a situation of animal farm where others are more equal than others. In other words, Julie, AZAPO is trying to highlight the inconsistencies in this country, to highlight the fact that the so-called false democracy in this country and what people called we are all equal before the law. Other people are more equal than others before the law. Poor people like Mr. Mafe are not equal before the law.
Okay. Here's my thinking on the situation. Clearly, in the media at that time, a year ago, there were suggestions that Mr. Mafe had a mental health issue. Given that, I'm wondering out aloud and putting that question to you is, do you believe that there was a bigger plot at play here, and Mr. Mafe was made the fall guy? He's taken the fall, and they've taken the people behind the scenes, whoever has actually arranged this supposed sabotage, act of sabotage at the Parliament buildings, used him as the fall guy because they knew he wouldn't be able to defend himself because of his mental health issue. That's number one. And then the other strange question that needs to be asked is, how come when you hear about murders of high profile people, within the space of a few days or a few hours, the perpetrators are caught and brought to book immediately, and a trial is held within a few days or within a few weeks? This man is now in jail for 365 days. Over and above that, the burned buildings of Parliament still remain in ruins. And the all important question is, why has restoration at this very important national key point not started yet? Because apparently, way back then, monies were put aside, monies were budgeted for to restore the building, because it is a national key point and it's a natural heritage site as well. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, thank you very much. Julie, you see, as AZAPO, I think we welcome your thinking, you know. It's very incisive, and generally you have hit the nail on the head. To then basically indicate that, one, the man, by the way, is no longer 365 days. I think today is 367 days today that he's incarcerated. We are then saying precisely the point. One, if it comes to the rich, it comes to the privileged, it comes to the politically connected, then the wheels of justice run faster than the speed of light. It comes to the poor, it comes to the disadvantaged. You get what you see with Mr. Mafe. So sadly, what we see manifesting through the situation of Mr. Mafe is a clear indication that is not yet as yet uhuru in this country. It's not as yet freedom. The law and the jurisprudence is not applied equally to all people. Now, let me come to the issues that you raised, Julie. Firstly, the issue of mental health. Remember, AZAPO has been there from day one with Mr. Mafe. We indicated all these inconsistencies. It's because of the pressure that AZAPO mounted that the state, the NPA, had to somersault. And only later on, as you would know through the media, there were these shenanigans about the issue of his mental health, and it was established in the court that they didn't follow the proper processes, as the defense was arguing. AZAPO raised this thing from the beginning to say there was the case of Stefanus, who stabbed Verwoerd in that very same building that burned. Immediately after his first appearance, he was sent for observation, mental observation. That did not happen with Mr. Mafe. AZAPO had to cry out foul, and the state was found wanting. So indeed, you are correct. Mr. Mafe is being scapegoated. He's being used as the fall man here. AZAPO firmly believes, Julie and listeners and viewers of Salam Media, that the mastermind, the orchestrators who planned this thing are roaming the streets as we speak. And they got a fall guy in Mr. Mafe. And, it's also an indictment on this particular government called the ANC. The first person post the so-called uhuru or freedom after 1994, the first person to be charged with terrorism happens to be a black, poor person, unemployed, a person who's got no financial wherewithal, is the person that gets charged with terrorism. This is weird. That is unbelievable. Now, Julie and listeners of Salam Media, we speak about a national key point. Julie, maybe one should pause here and just bring this to the attention of the viewers and the listeners of Salam Media and the nation at large that a national key point is an area that, if one uses religious terms, I can say is the Holy of Holies. It's a place that should be protected. It should have maximum security. Now, how come that security was so lax and or non-existent on the alleged day that allegedly Mr. Mafe went through and burnt Parliament? This is unbelievable. This is weird. Now, this clearly shows you that we've got a government and a country that doesn't know whether it's coming or going. We've got a dearth of leadership. Agents like the SSA, the state security agents, it means these guys must all be fired. They're not doing their job. The cameras, where were they, for instance, Julie? But anyway, let me pause it there. But what I'm trying to say is...
just pause it there. Pause it there, because we need to take an ad break. I'll come back to you in a minute or two. But this is also another very, very important question that I've been asking from the day this happened, from the day that we were told that Mr. Mafe has a mental health issue. So clearly there is other shenanigans going on here. What do you suppose, or whom do you suppose planned this fire? Was it as a distraction? What was that distraction? Who is being protected, and what are they being protected from? I'll leave you to mull over these questions, and you can respond right after the ad break.
Okay.
By the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the Code of Conduct, we're committed to give news that is accurate, comments that is fair, and program that is not harmful to children and does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. If you think we're not living up to that code, contact the station on 011 680 0355 or email your complaints to info@salammedia.com.
Devastating floods in Pakistan have washed away villages, claimed the lives of more than 1,000 people, damaged nearly 1 million homes, and left over 33 million people in desperate need of help. As the catastrophe unfolds, Islamic Relief is on the ground, reaching people with life-saving aid. Our team are working tirelessly to deliver food and shelter. Your support is urgently needed now to help save more lives. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
For a long time, we've lived in a centralized world, where institutions held the all-important data and confirmed all transactions. Those times are over. Welcome to Libertas Group, a blockchain developing company boasting an ecosystem that continually redefines the way we do business. Our blockchain is decentralized, making it immune to hacking or alteration, putting the power back in your hands with no middleman so you can focus on the growth of your business. Libertas, the simplest investment choice you'll make.
One small gesture can change someone's life. The SANZAF Meals Distribution Project aims to reach out to 100,000 individuals each month with freshly prepared meals daily. With your assistance, we can make this possible by contributing just 12 Rand per meal. Call us on 011 834 6046 for more information. SANZAF, changing lives through development and relief.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities, conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities. Your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or www.baytlodge.co.za.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back. It is exactly 9:48 a.m. I am talking with AZAPO, Gosh, there we go. We are talking to AZAPO regarding the incarceration of Zandile Christmas Mafe. And this is after 367 days of incarceration. My guest, of course, is the dynamic Khauntebale Nodoba. He is the Secretary for Publicity and Information with AZAPO. They are raising the flag very high for the rights of this person who has been incarcerated without trial over the last 365 days for the supposed sabotage at the Parliament buildings in Cape Town. Welcome back to you. And I've given you a whole host of questions to respond to you. And I think you still wanted to wrap up on the previous point of view as well.
No. Thank you, Julie. I was saying previously, the issue here is it's for us as AZAPO and for any rational thinking citizen of Azania, it's unthinkable that a national key point can be accessed with the kind of ease that the state is alleging Mr. Zandile Christmas Mafe did. It's an indictment on a sovereign state that is supposed to protect its citizens. If it can't protect the national key points, then what about us citizens? So there's a point that I just wanted to raise in passing. Then, Julie, you raise provocative questions and very interesting questions. AZAPO's view on the matter is, you see, Julie, there has been buildings that went up on smoke after the Parliament building went up in flames. I mean, there was a fire, I think, at another national key point, Waterkloof. There was a fire at, I think, Denel, and so on. So fires have been all over. But before that, Julie, there was the so-called, and there came mixed messages from the executive of this country, members of the executive. The then minister, who is now the current Speaker of Parliament, says, I don't know whether she said it was an unrest, or he said it was an insurrection, or something like that. The president said, no, it was just an unrest. Then there was a contradiction. As we are busy with the contradiction, what we then know, which is a fact, that the ruling party never denied, that the SSA, the state security agents, are divided along the factions within the ruling party. And that, Julie, becomes the elephant in the room that no one is speaking about. Now, government was in sixes and sevens, particularly the SSA and the NPA. So they had to reassure the nation. And who becomes the low-hanging fruit? The poor black people who might be sometimes roaming the streets, not out of their own making, but because of the hostile economic environment of this false democracy or false freedom that we have, that they find themselves as people who have got nowhere else to go, they've got no food and everything. So now then they pounce on him, and then he gets arrested and gets charged. Now, for heaven's sake, a person like Mr. Mafe, what does he has to benefit? In communication circle.
Just to get to the point, because we are running out of time. Whom do you suppose has been behind the sabotage and the reason for it? I'm trying to understand. This is a national key point.
Yes.
What are they going to gain from this type of action?
Julie, Mr. Mafe, for starters, has got nothing to gain. It's a national key point. You remember at Waterkloof, right? When it was Mr. Zuma as president, a whole airplane with guests of a wedding landed at a national key point.
Absolutely.
How is that possible?
The Gupta saga.
The Guptas, they are wedding guests. Now, that clearly shows that the state, right, and the ruling party, with their factions, they must answer to the nation. How can, firstly, Julie, the point that I'm raising is you can't access a national key point with ease. So the fact that that happened, it means an inside job, Julie. It's an inside job. So the SSA is divided. That's why we are calling that they must be fired, all of them, because they're not doing their job. They're just lining their pockets because they are actually singing to the tune of their masters of either side of the factions. So we are saying that the person here that is a suspect should be government, should be the ruling party. They should be answering to us because they can't secure a national key point. And there are a lot of questions that are there, Julie. And there is already a precedence with the battlefield landing of the guest of the Guptas. So
Okay, very quickly. Yeah, very quickly. Does that suggest that up to now, they've got a fall guy just to appease the nation, and nobody really knows who and why this fire actually got started? Is it also some form of an insurrection, you suppose?
Yes, Julie, it's quite clear that they wanted to calm the nation. Now, in order to do that, you get a fall guy. They wanted to divert attention from what we call a self-created crisis of a governing party that in itself has got problems. And we are moving towards an insurrection here, Julie. And they are the ones that are actually the orchestrators of this. Because, Julie, for instance, right, this the media is not asking this question, right? A national key point, Julie, everything is supposed to work to the T. The sprinkler system, the alarm system, the cameras and security along the precincts and so on. All those things were not in place. What does it say, Julie? It's an inside job. People did this deliberately, right? An insurrection started that failed with the July insurrection. So it's quite clear here, Julie, that the factions within the ruling party, right, are the ones that are causing this kind of problem. And as a country and as a nation, we ask the question, what did we do to really deserve a ruling party like the ANC? Come 2024, these guys must be voted out.
Absolutely. Let's hope common sense prevails. Finally, what else? What is AZAPO now demanding regarding the release of Mr. Mafe? Can you insist that he be released?
No, look, AZAPO is insisting that can we do what the law says we should do? One, Mr. Mafe has been charged. Can there be an investigation that goes through for this to investigate this crime that they're talking about? That's one. Two, the period of dealing with matters like this, it can't take more than 6 months. So can we speed up this so that they stop clutching at straws and present the evidence prima facie, if they have, that will either say Mr. Mafe is on bail or Mr. Mafe can't get on bail. Up until now, Julie, we don't know why. We don't know what the reasons are. Now, they are trying to clutch on straws to say Mr. Mafe is homeless, he doesn't have a fixed address. But there is an indictment on the state. It's not out of Mr. Mafe's making that if indeed he's homeless, that he is homeless. It's because the ANC for 28 years have not dealt with the issue of poverty of black people to make sure that they bring dignity to black people. So Mr. Mafe is a symbol and an example of the failure of the ruling party, of not having addressed the fundamentals of the struggle for liberation, which is economic control by the majority of the people and ameliorating, right, the economic woes of the people on the margins of society.
And on that sad note, we have to wrap up. Thank you indeed. No doubt we are going to have many, many more such very heated or spirited discussions going forward, inshallah. That was, of course, Haun-Tebale Nodoba, Secretary for Publicity and Information at AZAPO, talking about the continued incarceration of Zandile Christmas Mafe. He has been in jail for 367 days, supposedly because he had set the fire at the Parliament buildings in the Western Cape. It is exactly 9:57 a.m. Standing by to talk to us on another important issue is Executive Director and Head of Research for Money, Banking and Macroeconomics at First Source Money regarding the RET and radical economic transformation. We are going to go for a short break, and my guest, of course, is Reg Nkosi, whom I do look forward to chatting to in a minute or two.